Welcome to our cozy story time. Tonight we have a special tale to share, perfect for drifting off into a dreamy sleep. It's called The Whispers of the Deep. So snuggle up, close your eyes, and let's journey together through this enchanting night sky. Are you ready? Let's begin. Part 1. The Mysterious Tide Pool. In a small coastal town named Seashell Cove, there lived a curious young girl named Luna. With hair as wild as the ocean waves and eyes that sparkled like sunlight on water, Luna spent every moment she could exploring the rocky shores near her home. Her parents often joked that she was part mermaid, for she seemed more at home by the sea than anywhere else. One misty morning, just as the sun was peeking over the horizon, Luna slipped out of her house and made her way down to her favorite spot on the beach. The tide was unusually low, revealing tide pools she had never seen before. Excitement bubbled up inside her as she carefully picked her way across the slippery rocks. As she peered into one particularly large pool, something caught her eye. It wasn't a starfish or a hermit crab, but something shimmering and otherworldly. Luna leaned in closer, her nose almost touching the water's surface. Suddenly, a tiny voice whispered, "Hello, child of the land." Luna jerked back, nearly losing her balance. She blinked rapidly, convinced she must have imagined it. But then, the voice came again, clearer this time. "Don't be afraid, we've been waiting for someone like you." Heart pounding, Luna leaned forward once more. There, nestled among the colorful anemones and swaying seaweed, was a tiny figure no larger than her palm. It had the upper body of a human, but the lower half of a fish, with iridescent scales that shimmered in the early morning light. A mermaid?" Luna whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. The tiny creature smiled. "Close, but not quite. I'm a sea sprite, guardian of the tide pools and keeper of ocean secrets. My name is Coral." Luna's mind whirled with questions. "But why can I see you? Why have you been waiting for someone like me?" Coral's expression grew serious. "The ocean is in trouble, Luna. We need your help. But first, you must learn the ways of the sea." And so began Luna's extraordinary adventure. Each day at low tide, she would return to the magical tide pool, where Coral and other sea creatures taught her about the intricate balance of marine life, the dangers facing the ocean, and the ancient magic that flowed through the waters. As weeks passed, Luna learned to communicate with fish, to understand the whispers of the waves, and even to breathe underwater for short periods. But with her growing knowledge came a growing concern. The ocean was indeed in peril, threatened by pollution, overfishing, and the changing climate. One stormy evening, as Luna sat by her bedroom window, watching the turbulent sea, she heard a faint cry carried on the wind. It was Coral's voice, filled with urgency. "Luna, we need you now. The time has come." Without hesitation, Luna threw on her rain jacket and boots, then raced down to the shore. The waves crashed violently against the rocks, and the wind howled, but Luna pressed on, guided by an inner sense she had developed during her time with the sea sprites. When she reached the tide pool, she found it in chaos. The usually calm waters swirled and frothed, and Coral's tiny form bobbed helplessly in the currents. "Luna!" Coral cried out. "The ancient pearl of balance has been stolen from its resting place in the deep. Without it, the oceans will fall into disarray. You must help us retrieve it." Luna's heart raced. This was what all her training had been for. But how could she, a human girl, possibly venture into the depths of the ocean? As if in answer to her unspoken question, the water in the tide pool began to glow with an ethereal blue light. Coral's voice rang out clear and strong. "Step into the pool, Luna. Let the magic of the sea transform you. But remember, this gift is temporary. You must return before the next high tide, or you'll be trapped in the form of a sea creature forever." Luna took a deep breath, steeling her nerves. Then, with determination in her eyes, she stepped into the glowing waters of the tide pool. A tingling sensation spread from her toes to the top of her head. The world around her shimmered and blurred. When her vision cleared, she found herself underwater, her legs replaced by a shimmering tail. "Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime?" Coral asked, now appearing much larger as Luna had shrunk to sprite size. Luna nodded, her heart full of excitement and trepidation. "I'm ready, let's save the ocean." And with that, Luna and Coral dove deeper into the vast, mysterious world beneath the waves, embarking on a quest that would challenge everything Luna thought she knew about the sea, herself, and the delicate balance of nature. Part 2. The Underwater Kingdom. Luna marveled at her new form as she and Coral swam deeper into the ocean. Her tail sparkled with scales of blue and green, and she found she could breathe easily underwater. Schools of fish darted around them, and Luna was amazed to discover she could understand their chatter. "We're heading to the kingdom of Thalassia," Coral explained as they swam. "It's the heart of the ocean's magic and the home of the Sea King. He'll know more about the stolen Pearl of Balance." As they descended, the water grew darker, but Luna noticed small, bioluminescent creatures lighting their way. Suddenly, a vast city appeared before them, its buildings made of coral and crystal, glowing with an inner light. Merfolk of all shapes and sizes swam through the streets, going about their daily lives. At the center of the city stood a magnificent palace, its spires reaching towards the surface far above. Coral led Luna through the grand entrance, past guards wielding tridents made of glowing blue energy. They entered the throne room, where the Sea King sat, his long white beard flowing around him like sea foam. His eyes, deep and wise, focused on Luna with intensity. "So this is the human child who has been learning our ways," he said, his voice resonating through the water. "You've come at a dire time, young one. The theft of the Pearl of Balance has already begun to affect our world." As if to emphasize his point, a violent tremor shook the palace. Luna gasped as she saw cracks appearing in the crystal walls. The Sea King continued, "The Pearl maintains harmony not just in the ocean, but in the entire world. Without it, storms will rage, tides will run amok, and the delicate balance of marine life will be destroyed." "Who would steal such an important artifact?" Luna asked. The king's expression darkened. "We believe it was taken by the shadow eels, creatures corrupted by the pollution and negativity that have seeped into our realm from the surface world. Their leader, Moriah, seeks to use the Pearl's power to rule the seas." Coral spoke up. "But why choose Luna to help? Surely there are more experienced merfolk who could undertake this quest." The Sea King smiled gently. "Sometimes the best solution comes from a fresh perspective. Luna's connection to both land and sea gives her a unique advantage. Plus, the Pearl responds to purity of heart, something abundant in this young human." Luna felt a mix of pride and nervousness at the king's words. "I'll do my best to help," she said with determination. "Good," the king nodded. "You'll need to journey to the Abyssal Trench, where the shadow eels make their lair. But be warned, the journey is perilous, and you'll face many challenges along the way." He waved his hand, and a map appeared in the water before them, showing their route to the Abyssal Trench. "You'll need to cross the kelp forest, navigate the shipwreck graveyard, and make your way through the bioluminescent caves before you reach your destination." Luna studied the map, committing it to memory. The Sea King then presented her with a small amulet. "This will allow you to call for help from the sea creatures you encounter. Use it wisely." As Luna and Coral prepared to leave, another tremor shook the palace, stronger than before. "You must hurry," the Sea King urged. "The ocean's balance is deteriorating faster than we anticipated." With a respectful bow, Luna and Coral swam out of the palace and towards the outskirts of Thalassia. As they left the city behind, the true vastness of their quest began to sink in. "Are you scared?" Coral asked, noticing Luna's thoughtful expression. Luna considered for a moment before answering. "A little," she admitted, "but I'm also excited. This is so much bigger than anything I've ever done before." Coral smiled encouragingly. "That's the spirit. Now, let's head to our first challenge, the kelp forest. As they approached the forest, Luna saw enormous strands of kelp stretching from the ocean floor towards the surface, creating a dense, swaying canopy. The kelp fronds moved hypnotically in the ocean currents, and Luna could hear faint, eerie music seeming to emanate from within. "Be careful," Coral warned. "The kelp forest is known to confuse and disorient swimmers. Stay close to me. And whatever you do, don't listen too closely to the kelp's song." Taking a deep breath, Luna nodded, and together they plunged into the mysterious forest. The adventure had truly begun, and Luna knew that every moment from now on would test her courage, wisdom, and newfound connection to the sea. Part 3. The Kelp Forest and Beyond. As Luna and Coral swam deeper into the kelp forest, the giant fronds seemed to close in around them. The eerie music grew louder, its haunting melody threatening to cloud Luna's thoughts. She shook her head, trying to stay focused. "Remember what I taught you about ocean currents," Coral whispered. "Use them to guide you through the kelp." Luna nodded, concentrating on the subtle movements of the water. She could feel the currents flowing between the kelp strands, creating a hidden pathway. Carefully, she navigated through the forest, Coral close behind. Suddenly, a shadow darted between the kelp fronds. Luna froze, her heart racing. "What was that?" she whispered. Before Coral could answer, a creature emerged from the kelp. It had the head of a horse but the body of a fish, its scales shimmering with rainbow hues. "A seahorse," Luna exclaimed, remembering her lessons. The seahorse spoke, its voice gentle but urgent. "You must turn back. The forest is not safe. The shadow eels have corrupted some of the kelp. It will try to entangle you." As if on cue, several kelp fronds began to move against the current, reaching out towards Luna and Coral. Luna's mind raced, trying to recall anything that might help. Then she remembered the amulet the Sea King had given her. Grasping it tightly, she called out, "Creatures of the kelp forest, we need your help." The amulet glowed, and suddenly, a school of brightly colored fish appeared. They swam in rapid circles around Luna and Coral, creating a barrier that the corrupted kelp couldn't penetrate. "Thank you," Luna said to the seahorse and the fish. "Can you guide us through safely?" The seahorse nodded and took the lead, with the fish maintaining their protective circle. Together, they navigated through the treacherous forest, avoiding the corrupted areas and staying true to their course. As they neared the edge of the forest, Luna noticed the water getting colder and darker. The kelp thinned out, replaced by rocky outcroppings and deep shadows. "We're approaching the shipwreck graveyard," Coral explained, a note of apprehension in her voice. "It's said to be haunted by the spirits of lost sailors." Luna swallowed hard, trying to quell her fear. As they swam further, shapes began to emerge from the gloom. The broken hulls and masts of sunken ships, some ancient, others more recent. Schools of fish darted in and out of portholes, and crabs scuttled across rotting decks. A mournful sound echoed through the water, like a distant whale song, but sadder. "What's that noise?" Luna asked, her voice barely a whisper. "The voices of the lost," Coral replied solemnly. "We must be careful not to disturb them, or we might awaken something worse." They swam quietly through the graveyard, Luna's eyes wide as she took in the eerie scene. Tattered flags waved in the current, and old treasures glittered tantalizingly from half-open chests. As they passed a particularly large wreck, Luna noticed something moving in the shadows. She squinted, trying to get a better look. Suddenly, a ghostly figure emerged, a translucent sailor, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "Who dares disturb our rest?" the ghost bellowed, his voice sending chills through the water. Luna, trembling but determined, spoke up. "We don't mean to disturb you. We're on a quest to save the ocean. The Pearl of Balance has been stolen, and we need to get it back." The ghost's expression softened slightly. "Ah, the Pearl. I remember stories of its power from my living days." He studied Luna for a moment, You have a pure heart, young one. I sense no ill intent in you. He turned and gestured towards a dark crevice in the seafloor. The path you seek lies through there. It leads to the bioluminescent caves. But beware, the caves are as beautiful as they are dangerous. Trust in your heart, and you'll find your way. Luna thanked the ghost, and she and Coral swam towards the crevice. As they entered, the darkness enveloped them completely for a moment before the walls began to glow with soft blue and green light. The bioluminescent caves were a wonder to behold. Every surface sparkled with tiny, glowing organisms. Fish with lantern-like appendages swam by, illuminating the way forward. But as beautiful as it was, Luna could sense hidden dangers lurking in the shadows between the lights. We're getting closer to the abyssal trench, Coral said. The shadow eel's lair isn't far now. Are you ready for what comes next? Luna took a deep breath, steeling herself. I'm ready. We've come too far to turn back now. As they swam deeper into the caves, the bioluminescent lights began to pulse, almost as if they were warning of something ahead. Luna's grip tightened on her amulet, prepared for whatever challenge awaited them in the depths of the ocean. Certainly, I'll continue with the next part of the story. Part 4, The Abyssal Trench. As Luna and Coral swam deeper into the bioluminescent caves, the pulsing lights grew more intense. Suddenly, they found themselves at the edge of a vast, dark chasm, the Abyssal Trench. Luna gasped at the sight. The trench seemed to stretch endlessly downward, its depths hidden in inky blackness. The bioluminescent organisms that had lit their way through the caves were scarce here, creating an eerie twilight world. We need to be extra careful now, Coral whispered. The shadow eels could be anywhere. As if summoned by Coral's words, a sinister voice echoed through the water. Well, what do we have here? A little sprite and a human child? How interesting. From the shadows emerged a massive eel, its body as black as the depths around them, with glowing purple eyes. Smaller eels swirled around it, their eyes gleaming with malice. Moriah, Coral said, her voice filled with a mix of fear and defiance. The large eel, Moriah, circled Luna and Coral slowly. I'm impressed you made it this far, but your journey ends here. The Pearl of Balance is mine, and soon, all the oceans will be under my control. Luna, gathering her courage, spoke up. The pearl doesn't belong to you. It's meant to keep the oceans in harmony, not to be used for power. Moriah laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers through the water. Foolish child, the oceans have been poisoned by the surface dwellers for too long. It's time for a new order, one that will protect our realm from further harm. But you're causing more harm than good, Luna argued. The ocean is already falling into chaos without the pearl. A necessary sacrifice for a greater future, Moriah hissed. Now enough talk. Seize them. The smaller eels darted towards Luna and Coral. In a split-second decision, Luna grasped her amulet and called out, "Creatures of the deep, we need your help." The amulet glowed brightly, its light piercing the darkness of the trench. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, from the depths below and the waters above, came a response. Giant squid rose from the abyss, their tentacles wrapping around the shadow eels. Sharks and whales appeared from above, their powerful bodies creating currents that pushed back Moriah's minions. In the chaos, Luna spotted a faint glow coming from a cave in the trench wall. "There," she shouted to Coral. "I think that's where the pearl is." They swam swiftly towards the cave, dodging the battling sea creatures. As they entered, they saw the Pearl of Balance floating in the center of the cavern, its soft light pulsating weakly. Luna reached out to grab it, but as her fingers touched the pearl, a jolt of energy surged through her. Visions flashed before her eyes. The interconnectedness of all ocean life, the delicate balance of ecosystems, and the impact of human actions on the sea. She understood then that the pearl wasn't just an object of power, but a living embodiment of the ocean's spirit. As this realization washed over her, the pearl's glow intensified, responding to Luna's pure intention. Mariah, having broken free from the sea creatures, appeared at the cave entrance. "No," she roared, "the pearl is mine." But as she lunged forward, the pearl's light expanded, enveloping Luna, Coral, and Mariah in a sphere of brilliant energy. In that moment, Mariah too was granted a vision, the consequences of her actions, the harm she would cause to the very realm she sought to protect. The light faded, and Mariah sank to the cave floor, her dark color fading to reveal iridescent scales underneath. I was wrong," she said, her voice filled with remorse. "I thought I was saving the oceans, but I was blinded by my anger." Luna approached Mariah cautiously, the pearl still glowing in her hands. "It's not too late," she said gently. "We can work together to protect the oceans, to find a balance between the world above and the world below." Mariah looked up at Luna, hope replacing the malice in her eyes. "You would trust me, after all I've done?" "The pearl showed us both the truth," Luna replied. "It's up to us to act on it." With Mariah's help, Luna and Coral were able to return the pearl to its rightful place in the heart of Thalassia. As it settled into its chamber, a wave of harmony spread throughout the oceans. The chaotic storms calmed, the unbalanced tides regulated, and the marine life breathed a collective sigh of relief. The Sea King, overjoyed at the return of the pearl, declared a celebration throughout the kingdom. But for Luna, the most important task was yet to come. "I need to return to the surface," she said, "to share what I've learned, to help bridge the gap between our worlds." The Sea King nodded solemnly. "You have a great task ahead of you, Luna. But remember, you will always have friends beneath the waves." As the magic that had transformed her began to fade, Luna bid farewell to her underwater companions. She found herself back in the tide pool where her adventure had begun, the morning sun just beginning to peek over the horizon. Luna knew that her journey was far from over. She had a new mission now, to protect the oceans and teach others about the delicate balance of marine life. As she walked home along the beach, she smiled, knowing that with every small action, she could make a difference. And so, Luna's extraordinary adventure became a lifelong commitment to the sea, a testament to the power of courage, empathy, and the enduring connection between all living things.